There's a town in upstate New York that doesn't exist. Well, it didn't exist, and then it did, and then it didn't again, and now it's kind of up to you as to whether or not it does. The town is called Agloe, and it's a perfect example of how anything can be real if enough people believe it to be. In the world of cartography, plagiarism is a major problem. If a cartographer went to New York City and took the time to map out every street based on what they were seeing with their own eyes, it would be very difficult to prevent a rival mapmaker from copying this exactly and making a map of their own. How could you prove a map was copied if it's showing the same streets that are physically there? The answer? Trap streets and paper towns. If the first map has a bend in the street that doesn't exist, or even an entirely made-up road, the makers will know that any map showing that same incorrect bend will have been plagiarized. There are countless examples of trap streets and paper towns, though they're quite difficult to find. This is what happened with the fictitious town of Agloe, New York, only it wasn't so simple. In the 1930s, General Drafting Company was charged with creating a map of New York State. Founded by Otto G. Lindberg in 1909, General Drafting was one of three major road map publishers in the U.S., alongside H.M. Gausha and Rand McNally. In order to prevent copycats, Otto G. Lindberg and his assistant Ernest Albers created the town of Agloe, its name being an anagram of their initials. The town was placed in a remote part of upstate New York, on a dirt road between Beaverkill and Rockland. A few years later, the town of Agloe appeared on a map created by rival company Rand McNally. But when GDC threatened to sue, McNally retaliated by claiming they had received information on the town of Agloe from Delaware County records, pointing to a store at the same point on the map named the Agloe General Store. Ironically, the store had apparently gotten its name after seeing the town of Agloe on a map made by Esso, now known as Exxon, which was a client of GDC's. However, according to nearby residents from a 2016 news article, there never was a general store, says Darlene Beers, 65, who has lived at that very intersection since 1983 and whose family owned the land. My great-grandfather John Need owned that property, and when he passed, my grandfather Frank Need sold it to an organization called Agloe Associates. There was a fishing lodge already there, and they renamed it Agloe Lodge. This ended any chance at a lawsuit, yet there was still no real town of Agloe. This remained the case until it was brought back to life in 2008 by author John Green, who wrote about it in his novel Paper Towns, which was later released as a feature film. The reception from this story led to its fans embarking on journeys to this fictitious town, much like the main character Q does, and there are numerous videos and photographs documenting these trips. So what was originally created as a fake town in order to catch those choosing to plagiarize, turned into a physical point on the map, and later a road trip destination that has brought real meaning to many.